The What's Happening Hoke show is filmed before a live audience and is sponsored by the Rock of Hoke, Rockfish Motor Speedway. What's happening, Hoke? We're back. Hal has one more hole to play, Larry, and he's waiting on the 50-50 drawing to see if he won. So, needless to say, he's not going to win. He's probably going to miss that hole anyway. But on to bigger and better things, I'm sitting with Amber Kirby of Alpha K9. Forgive me, I said Tar Heel K9. And thanks for coming to the show. I really appreciate you stopping by. I met you a few weeks back at the community meeting down here. Tell me, what exactly is Alpha K9 and what do you guys do?
So Alpha K9, what we are, we're a PTSD service dog nonprofit. So we are a 501c3. We're based out of Sacramento, California.
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Post-traumatic stress disorder. And we're in the process of opening an East Coast location, and I chose to be here in Fayetteville.
That's great.
We provide service dogs to veterans, law enforcement, first responders, battered women, children, anyone involved in a significant or emotional traumatic event. We recognize that anyone can suffer from PTSD.
And the number of veterans that commit suicide range of what's
currently right now the average is 22 veterans a day, which roughly breaks down to about 1 every 80 minutes. 1 every
80 minutes, 22 veterans a day. And having a service dog, how would that prevent it?
Well, having a service dog is not necessarily the answer to PTSD, but it is an answer. Service dogs are not for everyone, but it's a tool for intervention. A lot of our veterans that come through, once they get out of service, they don't leave their homes.
Right.
So having a service dog provides them someone, that companionship to give them that sense of purpose again, give them that confidence to leave their home and be able to go out and interact in the community again. And the dogs are highly trained with obedience along with tasks to mitigate that disability.
So these are primarily your folks as service dogs, not protection dogs.
No.
Okay. So service dogs, as people might imagine, see them on planes, they have a service vest, normally with someone that has a disability such as blind, but post-traumatic stress disorder is an unseen disability,
yes.
But plays itself out in a very visual way. So
yeah, a lot of people when they think of service dogs, they think of somebody that has a hearing or seeing eye dog. I've read something on the internet recently where someone had seen a person out with a service dog and made a comment about, well, they didn't seem to look like they needed help with a service dog. But when you stop to think about it, you have diabetic response alerts, the PTSD, there's numerous other reasons why to have them. As long as the dog is trained with a task to mitigate those disabilities, they are qualified as a service dog.
And even the story that played out this week, the lady that was involved in a car accident, the dog actually put himself between her and the car.
I saw that.
And the dog was hit. They're both doing well, but just another scenario right there. But he did not leave her side, and actually kept her from getting hurt. And as a result, she was going into, like, I believe, a diabetic shock. That was another reason why she was in front of the car, obviously. And so, again, that was just one instance where a service dog was able to render aid. Now, backing up a little bit, you're an MP.
Yes.
So you've been around dogs pretty much your whole military career.
So I myself was a military police officer. I was in the Army for 15 and a half years and I was medically retired.
Right.
And so out of that 15 and a half years, I want to say about 8 and a half of it that I was a military working dog handler.
Okay. So now Alpha K9 is based out of California. How did you get involved with them?
Well, the founder, his name is Kevin Cameron, he's a combat wounded Purple Heart recipient. He is also a prior military police working dog handler.
Okay.
And that's how him and I knew each other. So when it came around where I was being med boarded, he contacted me and asked me if I was interested in coming and working for him. At the time, I had a lot of personal things going on, so it wasn't really conducive to the situation.
Right.
And so I had located myself out here to Fayetteville near Fort Bragg for some personal reasons. And as the time went by, I reached out to him and asked him if the position was still available. He said, yeah, come on out. So I went out to California and I worked in Sacramento for a few months. And one day I just kind of woke up and said, you know, really don't feel like this is where I want to be.
In California, yeah.
But I really am very passionate and love training dogs. I love the fact that I can give back to the community. I love that I can work with other veterans. I'm still actively involved and engaged in that, environment.
Right.
And so I told him, have you thought about doing an expansion? Because currently, unfortunately, our wait list can be anywhere between 90 days to a year, depending on the
Wow.
circumstances. Most service dog organizations are anywhere from a year to 2 years because they're in such high demand for different, tasks. And so I told him, I'm like, why not open an East Coast office?
Exactly. Especially where other than down here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, right outside the gate of Fort Bragg, so many veterans here, so there's obvious need as well.
Well, especially with this unique location, we're right along this I-95 corridor,
Right.
so you have so many different military installations.
Yeah, Camp Lejeune as well, yeah.
Yeah, going all the way up to DC and then some. We reach all the way down into Florida. There's so many people out here, and I remember being out in California, and I would get phone calls
Right.
where people were brokenhearted that they just couldn't figure out and didn't want to wait that long to have to work with an organization out of California. So here I am.
We're talking to Amber Kirby, Alpha K9. When we come back, let's talk about some of the costs involved to train a dog. How does someone get a dog?
Okay.
And we'll be right back.